The vast emptiness of space held secrets beyond human imagination. On a cold research station orbiting Earth, Dr. Kim Jae-hwa stared at the flickering computer screen, her coffee growing cold beside her. Strange signals had been interrupting, standard communication channels for weeks, and today would be different. A massive spacecraft appeared suddenly, cutting through the darkness like a silver knife. Its design was unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived, smooth, organic, with curves that seemed to breathe and pulse with an unknown energy. The ship's exterior shimmered with a metallic blue-green color that changed subtly with each passing moment. Jae-hwa's hands trembled as she activated the communication protocols. Her team, a group of young scientists and researchers, watched in complete silence. The spacecraft made no aggressive movements, simply hovering at the edge of Earth's orbital range. Suddenly, a transmission broke through. The language was complex, filled with mathematical equations and biological sequences that looked more like genetic code than traditional communication. Jae-hwa's specialized linguistic AI began decoding the message, revealing a desperate story of survival. The aliens, called the Orcs, were facing total extinction. Their species had been struggling with severe genetic degradation for generations. Reproductive capabilities had dropped to near zero, and their entire civilization teetered on the brink of complete collapse. Their advanced scanners had detected humans as a potential solution, a species with robust genetic diversity and remarkable reproductive capabilities. Kira, the lead Orcs scientist, transmitted detailed genetic research. Her holographic image appeared in the research station, tall, slender, with skin that seemed to shimmer between solid and translucent. Her eyes were large, deep purple, and filled with a mixture of hope and scientific determination. "We require assistance," Kira's translated message read. "Your species represents our last hope for genetic restoration." The research team exchanged nervous glances. This was no typical first contact scenario. This was a species asking for biological salvation, offering advanced technology in exchange for the most fundamental of biological processes, reproduction. Jae-hwa understood the complexity immediately. This wasn't just a scientific discovery. This was a potential turning point for human civilization. The Orcs possessed technology centuries ahead of human understanding, quantum communication systems, energy generation techniques that could solve global climate challenges, and medical advancements that could eliminate numerous human diseases. The spacecraft continued to hover, patient and silent. No threatening movements, no aggressive signals, just a simple, desperate request for biological cooperation. Global communication channels erupted. Governments, scientific institutions, and media networks scrambled to understand this unprecedented situation. Some saw opportunity, others saw potential threat, but everyone recognized this was a moment that would define human history. Jae-hwa's preliminary genetic analysis showed something extraordinary. The Orcs genetic structure, while alien, had remarkable compatibility points with human DNA. Their request wasn't just a random hope, it was a scientifically calculated possibility. The research station buzzed with excitement and tension. Young scientists ran complex simulations, checking every possible scenario. The potential consequences were immense, a chance to save an entire alien civilization, to gain unprecedented technological knowledge, and to expand human understanding. Beyond traditional boundaries, Kira waited. Her civilization's future hung in the balance of this single moment of communication. Generations of Orcs scientists had prepared for this possibility, scanning countless star systems, analyzing millions of potential species. Jae-hwa took a deep breath. Her finger hovered over the response button. One decision could change everything. For humans, for the Orcs, perhaps for the entire known universe. The spacecraft continued to shimmer against the black backdrop of space, a silent witness to a moment that would rewrite the understanding of life, reproduction, and interstellar cooperation. In that moment, humanity's greatest adventure was about to begin. The United Nations headquarters in New York transformed overnight. What was once a diplomatic center became a high-security zone filled with scientists, government representatives, and the mysterious Orcs delegation. Park Sung-min stood at the edge of the main conference room, his heart racing with a mixture of scientific curiosity and nervous anticipation. Rael, the primary Orcs diplomat, was unlike any negotiator humans had ever encountered. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that seemed to change color based on emotional responses, Rael represented a civilization on the brink of total extinction. His presentation was both a scientific report and a desperate plea. Large holographic displays showed the Orcs' genetic breakdown. Complex diagrams revealed generations of reproductive failure, chromosomal degradation, and the slow death of an entire species. The images were clinical yet heartbreaking, showing entire generations unable to produce offspring, entire cities becoming silent museums of a dying civilization. "We do not come as conquerors," Rael explained, his voice a perfect translation, "through advanced communication technology. We come as survivors seeking partnership." The negotiation terms were unprecedented. In exchange for carefully selected human genetic donors, the Orcs would provide technology that could solve multiple global challenges. Clean energy systems that could reverse climate change, medical advancements that could cure genetic diseases, communication technologies that would leap human understanding forward by centuries. Sung-min watched carefully. As a molecular biologist, he understood the scientific implications better than most. This wasn't just a diplomatic negotiation. This was a potential evolutionary leap for humanity. Government representatives argued. Some saw opportunity, others saw potential risks. Military advisors expressed concerns about potential biological weapons or genetic manipulation. Ethical committees debated the moral implications of interspecies reproductive assistance. The Orcs remained patient. They presented comprehensive safeguards, detailed medical protocols, and transparent research documentation. Each concern was addressed with scientific precision and emotional understanding. "We offer choice," Rael explained. "No human will be forced. Volunteers will be fully informed, medically screened, and compensated with technological and medical advancements." Sung-min raised his hand. "I volunteer," he said suddenly, surprising even himself. His medical records were perfect. No genetic disorders, robust health, advanced genetic markers that suggested exceptional reproductive potential. The room fell silent. His declaration changed everything. Global media erupted. Social media platforms exploded with discussions, debates, and wild theories. Some called Sung-min a hero, others a potential risk to human civilization. Scientific communities began intense discussions about the potential outcomes. Rael approached Sung-min, his color shifting to a soft blue that suggested respect and careful consideration. "Your willingness represents hope," the alien diplomat said, extending a hand that looked both human and completely alien. Background checks commenced. Sung-min underwent weeks of intensive medical examinations. His entire genetic history was mapped, analyzed, and cross-referenced with Orcs genetic requirements. Every potential risk was examined with microscopic precision. The United Nations created a special committee specifically for this unprecedented diplomatic arrangement. Legal teams worked around the clock, developing frameworks for interspecies genetic donation. Ethical guidelines were established, protecting both human donors and the Orcs civilization. Global scientific institutions began collaborative research. Universities worldwide started specialized programs studying potential interspecies genetic interactions. What was once science fiction became a living, breathing reality. Sung-min's family struggled with his decision. His mother worried about potential unknown risks. His father, a retired scientist, saw the broader implications for human knowledge and survival. As negotiations continued, something remarkable happened. The initial clinical approach transformed into a genuine cultural exchange. Humans learned about Orcs history, philosophy, and survival strategies. The Orcs gained insights into human resilience and adaptability. The world watched, waited, and wondered. One volunteer, one decision, potentially the most important moment in human history. Sungmin looked out the window of the UN building, watching the city below. Everything was about to change. The research facility looked like something from a futuristic movie. Gleaming white walls, advanced medical equipment, and scientists moving with calculated precision. Dr. Lee Yunji stood at the center, her white lab coat crisp, and her eyes focused on the complex genetic mapping displays. Potential human donors arrived from around the world. Each carried hopes, fears, and a deep understanding of the historical significance of their potential contribution. Medical teams conducted exhaustive screenings, analyzing every possible genetic detail. Mara, the Oricsi geneticist, moved through the facility with an otherworldly grace. Her scanning devices could detect genetic variations humans couldn't even imagine. She examined each potential donor with a combination of scientific curiosity and desperate hope for her dying civilization. The screening process was brutal. Thousands of initial volunteers were reduced to just 20 potential candidates. Blood tests, genetic sequencing, psychological evaluations, and comprehensive medical histories were examined with microscopic precision. Yunji discovered something extraordinary during the genetic screenings. Some humans showed remarkable compatibility with Oricsi genetic structures, almost as if nature had prepared them for this moment. Certain genetic markers appeared that suggested an unprecedented level of interspecies genetic potential. We're not just selecting donors, Yunji explained to her team. We're identifying the biological bridges between two different species. The medical protocols were complex. Each potential donor would undergo a series of genetic modifications and preparatory treatments. These procedures would make their genetic material more compatible with Oricsi reproductive systems while ensuring the donor's complete health and safety. Psychological preparation was equally important. The selected donors received intensive counseling. They learned about Oricsi culture, biological requirements, and the profound implications of their potential contribution. This wasn't just a medical procedure, it was a species-level collaboration. Advanced simulation rooms allowed donors to interact with Oricsi holographic representations. They learned communication protocols, cultural sensitivities, and the deep biological significance of their potential contribution. Some donors found the experience overwhelming, others found it profoundly moving. Mara explained the biological process with clinical precision. The genetic donation wasn't traditional reproduction. It was a complex genetic integration that would help restore the Orixi's reproductive capabilities. Each donor's genetic material would be carefully processed, modified and integrated into Oricsi genetic structures. The facility became a world of its own, isolated from external influences, filled with the most advanced medical technology humanity had ever developed. Security was extreme, not to prevent escape, but to protect the most significant biological experiment in human history. Yunji monitored everything. Her team worked around the clock, running simulations, checking and rechecking every possible scenario. The weight of an entire alien civilization's survival rested on their shoulders. Potential donors underwent intensive physical preparations. Special diets, advanced medical treatments, and genetic optimization procedures became their daily routine. Their bodies were being prepared for something no human had ever experienced. The global scientific community watched with intense interest. Universities, research institutions, and government agencies analyzed every piece of available data. This was more than a medical experiment. This was a potential turning point in human understanding of biology and interstellar cooperation. Some donors backed out. The psychological pressure was intense. Others found a sense of purpose they had never experienced before. They were not just medical volunteers. They were potential saviors of an entire civilization. Mara's research showed something unexpected. Human genetic material wasn't just compatible, it was potentially transformative. The Oricsi could not just survive, but potentially thrive with human genetic integration. The facility became a beacon of hope. Outside, the world continued its normal routines. But inside these walls, something extraordinary was happening. Humanity was taking its first real steps toward becoming an interstellar species. Yunji looked at the final list of donors. 20 humans who would potentially change the course of 2 civilizations. 20 individuals who represented hope, scientific progress, and the incredible potential of biological collaboration. The genetic preparations continued. Each day brought new discoveries, new challenges, and the promise of something truly remarkable. Orcs medical chamber glowed with soft blue light. Choi Hyun-woo lay perfectly still, surrounded by advanced medical equipment that looked more like living organic technology than traditional machines. His body was the bridge between 2 species, a potential salvation for an entire civilization. Lyra, the Orcs recipient, watched from a transparent medical pod. Her large purple eyes studied every microscopic change in Hyun-woo's genetic structure. This was more than a medical procedure. This was hope transformed into scientific reality. The genetic integration process began slowly. Specialized nanomachines moved through Hyun-woo's bloodstream, carefully preparing his genetic material for transfer. Each movement was calculated, each interaction precisely controlled by advanced Orcs medical technology. Scientists from both species monitored every moment. Screens filled with complex genetic sequences, biological interactions that looked like intricate dance patterns of microscopic life. The room hummed with anticipation and scientific excitement. Hyun-woo remained calm. Months of psychological preparation had prepared him for this moment. He understood the weight of his potential contribution, the possibility of saving an entire species from extinction. His body was now a living bridge between 2 worlds. Initial results surprised everyone. Hyun-woo's genetic material showed remarkable compatibility with Orcs reproductive systems. Where previous attempts had failed, his DNA seemed to unlock something extraordinary. The nanomachines worked with unprecedented efficiency, integrating genetic information in ways no one had predicted. Lyra's body began to show remarkable changes. Genetic markers that had been dormant for generations started to activate. Her cellular structure began responding to the human genetic material in ways that even the most advanced Orcs scientists had not anticipated. The medical team watched in complete silence. Years of research, countless failed attempts, and a civilization's hope rested on these moments. Each second brought new data, new possibilities. "The integration is successful," Mara announced, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and emotional relief. The first successful genetic transfer was happening right before their eyes. Global communication channels lit up. Scientific institutions around the world received real-time updates. This was more than a medical breakthrough. This was a moment that would redefine human understanding of reproduction, genetics, and interstellar cooperation. Hyun-woo experienced strange sensations. His body felt different, not painful but transformed. He could sense subtle changes in his biological structure, a connection to something larger than himself. The nanomachines continued their precise work, building bridges between human and Orcs genetic systems. Lyra's potential for reproduction increased dramatically. Genetic sequences that had been broken for generations began to repair themselves. Her body, once on the brink of complete reproductive failure, now showed signs of remarkable regeneration. The medical chamber became a symbol of hope. Outside the facility, the universe continued its endless dance. But inside these walls, something miraculous was happening. 2 species were finding a way to survive, to continue, to hope. Cultural exchange happened simultaneously with the genetic integration. Hyun-woo learned about Orcs history through advanced neural connections. Lyra gained insights into human experiences, emotions, and survival strategies. Days passed. Careful monitoring continued. Each hour brought new discoveries, new possibilities. The scientific team worked without rest, analyzing every microscopic change, every potential implication of this extraordinary process. The first signs of potential pregnancy emerged. Cellular structures began to show complex developmental patterns. It was more than a medical miracle. It was the potential rebirth of an entire civilization. Hyun-woo felt a deep sense of purpose. He was no longer just an individual. He was a bridge between species, a potential savior of an entire civilization. The weight of this responsibility was balanced by an incredible sense of hope. Lyra's body continued to change. Genetic potential that had been dormant for generations began to awaken. The Oricsi watched with a mixture of scientific curiosity and deep emotional hope. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Something extraordinary was happening, a moment that would be remembered as a turning point in the history of two species. As the genetic integration continued, hope transformed into possibility. One body, two species, a future waiting to be. Born 5 years had passed since the first genetic integration. The world looked different now, more connected, more complex, more hopeful. Dr. Kim Jae-hwa stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching the joint human-Oricsi research vessel move silently through space. Elder Raven, the primary Oricsi leader, stood beside her. His body had transformed significantly, the result of successful genetic integrations. Where once the Oricsi seemed fragile and dying, now they looked vibrant, strong, filled with renewed potential. The Oricsi civilization had not just survived, they had been reborn. Hundreds of successful genetic integrations had brought their species back from the brink of extinction. Children were being born, cities were rebuilding, hope had replaced desperation. Humanity received incredible technological gifts in return. Clean energy systems that could reverse decades of environmental damage, medical technologies that could cure genetic diseases, communication systems that connected distant planets like never before. Jae-hwa remembered the first moments of contact. So much had changed since those uncertain days. What began as a clinical scientific experiment had transformed into a profound interspecies partnership. The first generation of human Oricsi children were growing up. They possessed remarkable abilities, enhanced intelligence, advanced genetic adaptability, and a unique perspective that bridged two civilizations. Schools were created to help these children understand their extraordinary nature. Global governments had been transformed. The United Nations now included Oricsi representatives. International policies focused on interstellar cooperation, scientific exchange, and mutual understanding. Borders that once seemed important now appeared meaningless. Scientific institutions celebrated unprecedented discoveries. Every day brought new understanding about genetic potential, interspecies communication, and the broader possibilities of universal life. Humans and Oricsi worked side by side, solving challenges that once seemed impossible. The original donors became global heroes. Sungmin, Hyunwoo, and others who had first volunteered were now respected leaders in the new interstellar scientific community. Their courage had opened doors to possibilities no one had imagined. Technological exchanges happened continuously. Oricsi quantum communication systems revolutionized human technology. Human genetic research provided the Oricsi with new understanding of biological adaptation. Each species learned from the other. Environmental restoration became a joint priority. Oricsi environmental technologies, combined with human ecological understanding, began healing planets. Areas once considered uninhabitable became potential new homes for both species. Cultural exchanges ran deeper than anyone had initially predicted. Oricsi art, philosophy, and social structures began mixing with human traditions. A new, hybrid understanding of existence emerged, something more complex and beautiful than either species had known before. The original medical facility where the first integrations happened became a global monument. Tourists and students from multiple planets came to understand the moment when two species chose cooperation over extinction. Elder Raven spoke softly to Jae-hwa. "We were dying," he said. "Now we live. Not just survive, but truly live." His voice carried the weight of generations, the hope of a civilization reborn. Space exploration accelerated. Joint human Oricsi missions pushed the boundaries of known space. Planets that once seemed unreachable now became potential new homes. The universe had suddenly become much larger, much more promising. The genetic integration program continued, but now with careful, ethical guidelines. Each potential donor understood the profound significance of their contribution. It was no longer just a medical procedure. It was a sacred trust between species, economic systems transformed. Trade became about knowledge exchange, not just material. Goods, resources were shared, challenges were confronted together. The old models of competition gave way to collaborative survival. HFY looked at Elder Raven. Two species, once strangers, now family. The result of a desperate search, a scientific miracle, and the incredible power of cooperative hope. The space station continued its silent journey. Outside, stars moved, planets turned, and two species, once on the brink of destruction, now danced together through the infinite possibilities of the universe. Something beautiful had been born. Not just life, not just survival, but a new understanding of what it means to be alive.